Disney's 5-minute Easter stories. Disney Princess, The Wishing Well. One bright spring morning before she met the dwarfs or the prince, Snow White leaned over her balcony to catch a glimpse of the flowery meadow. But this was no ordinary spring. It hadn't rained much, and there weren't nearly as many flowers as usual. Snow White tried to listen for the far-off tinkling of the forest stream, but instead she heard a cry that sounded as if it was coming from the wishing well below her balcony. She raced down the castle stairs and over to the wishing well. Snow White peered into the well, and she was surprised to find a bunny inside. It was sipping from a puddle of water. "You must be very thirsty," she said. Startled, the bunny tried to climb out, but it was too small. "It's much easier to get in than to get out," called Snow White. "Don't worry, I'll help you." She cupped her hands and leaned over so the bunny could hop into them, but it couldn't jump high enough. Almost, but not quite. "I know," Snow White said. "I can bring you up in the bucket." She lowered the bucket slowly, but when she tried to make it raise again, with the bunny inside, the rope broke. Snow White closed her eyes and wished for the bunny to be safely out of the well. When she opened them again, a squirrel had joined the bunny, leaning down to drink out of the puddle. "Perhaps there isn't enough water in the well to make a proper wish," Snow White thought. Eager to save the animals, Snow White decided to ask her stepmother for help. But when she reached the queen's chamber, she saw her stepmother staring into her magic mirror, enchanted by what she saw there. Snow White tiptoed away. She knew not to disturb the queen when she was talking to her mirror. Snow White slowly descended the castle stairs, thinking about the animals in the well. As she looked down at her feet, she thought about how each stone step formed a grand staircase. It gave her an idea. With renewed hope, Snow White headed for the trees. She sped through the meadow and into the brush until she came to a trail of stones deep in the forest. Snow White bent down to lift one of the heavy rocks, then hauled it out of the wood. Snow White rested the stone on the edge of the wishing well and peeked inside to check on the animals. She saw that a raccoon, a chipmunk, and a skunk had joined the others trapped inside. "Watch out," Snow White called, before carefully dropping the stone down along the inner edge of the well. Without uttering another word, she dashed off into the forest once more. Snow White returned with another stone, and she dropped it into the well the same way as the first. "Push this one next to the first rock," she told the animals. Then she brought another stone, and another. As news spread of Snow White's efforts, animals from throughout the forest came to help. When they were all done, Snow White and the animals admired their work. "It's not as fancy as the ones in the castle, but it will have to do," said Snow White. With the help of the animals, Snow White had built a staircase. The bunny hopped up the stairs first, followed by the squirrel, the raccoon, and the chipmunk. Everyone kept a safe distance from the skunk. When all the animals were out, a soft spring rain began to fall. Snow White celebrated by singing a happy song. From that day forward, Snow White and the forest animals became close friends. After the rain finally arrived, flowers bloomed everywhere, and the bushes were bursting with berries, and there was plenty of water in the well for making wishes. The end.